Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us back here at Mountain Outpost. This is the Javelina Jundred, presented by Hoka and the Feet. I'm Chris Warden.
I'm Andy Jones-Wilkins.
And one of the things that we do every one of these races, we try our best to be as dialed in with our preparation. We're scouring Ultra Sign Up. We're looking on the internet all over for information on our guests. We didn't have to do that today, not for this one, because we've got a friend of ours here in the studio, Callie, Vinson. Callie,
Hello.
welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
Callie, you are out here to run the Javelina 100 mile. For those that might not be familiar with you, we obviously know you quite well. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, so I didn't get into running until, like 10 years or so ago. I always hated running. I actually, that's the reason I got into running, because I felt like if I could, maybe I could conquer anything. And it was actually through running and just changing my lifestyle that I was able to lose 200 pounds and run a 250 miler,
So a 250 miler, that was Cocodona.
That was.
And
This
I think
May.
also Moab before a couple of years
and the
before
Maricopa.
that. And the Maricopa Trail.
Yep.
So this is a shorty.
Yeah, it's just one night. I just have to go through one night. I'm not even going to be tired. We'll see.
Do you have some goals though? I mean, because I know with the story that we were familiar with Cocodona, because you had a not so great experience there once.
Yeah.
That you were going back with the singular goal of getting it done. And it was an incredibly emotional finish that we were able to witness as being part of the live stream. And that was just back in May. I mean, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe it's only 5 months ago.
I know.
It's the way life goes. Yeah. What are your goals going into Javelina?
Yeah, so I've never set this kind of goal before. It's never been done before. I've actually never run Javelina before, but I want to run 100 miles in less than a day. And I've come close. I ran, my last race was 4 years ago, the Jackpot 100 actually, and I did 24:53 or something like that. But back then I didn't really care. It was just about finishing. I had no idea what I was doing back then. I was the type to PR my 50 miler in a 100 mile race, probably a terrible idea. I had no idea about fueling, nutrition, pace, none of that. But now I actually, have my shit together, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can actually do this here. It's also going to be 1,000,000 degrees outside, but I'm still going to go in with that goal, because you just got to dream, just got to believe.
So, Callie, as somebody who kind of does a lot of what you do, and the fact that you also do some of the broadcasting, you've been on the call at Western States, you've been on the call at Black Canyon. Are you having fun adjusting to the fact that you're now on both sides of the coin over the course of your established running career and your burgeoning broadcasting career?
Yeah, so it is kind of funny to be on that side again. For the past, 2 or so years, I've been doing 200 milers, where it just feels like a totally different race. It feels like a different style of racing. But to be in a 100 mile and be the one who's the runner being crewed and not behind the mic, not crewing someone, not stuffing somebody else with ice, but having all those things done for me, it feels weird, but I'm excited to be one of the runners again and savor the experience, the highs, the lows, the whole roller coaster. I will miss being behind the mic when it's 3 p.m. and 98 degrees and I'm a salt-crusted, dry-aged runner, but I'm so excited for it. I've been a part of Javelina for the past 3 years in some extent, whether I was crewing or volunteering or whatever, so I'm excited to actually get to run the race this year. So.
Callie, I'd like to get a little window into what these last 5 months have been like, right? Because it is, it is an interesting challenge to go from what I'm sure was almost a 10-month or so build up to Cocodona.
Yeah.
I would imagine you spent the entire, to recovering from Cocodona and then setting your sights on a sub 24. And of course, having what's been a record summer here in Phoenix for training. I know I ran into you at the hangover runs that were out on the course about 5 weeks ago, which are great. By the way, great if you ever come and run Javelina, if you can make it to the hangover runs a couple 5 weeks before, it's worth it. What's your training been like? Because of course you probably had to think a little bit more about running faster, I guess, in most of all.
Yeah, it's funny because actually a lot of the speed work and intervals and all that kind of good stuff, I actually did that for Cocodona too in the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, and those first couple weeks of training, then you get more to the endurance stuff, but I did that also leading up to this, and I'm actually pretty proud of my training peaks graph. I've got a nice steady build up to Moab, and then down, and then nice steady build up to Western States, then Moab, then Cocodona, and now it's like It's doing it again for Javelina, and that little dot is a little higher than all of those. So I'm a little fitter going into this race than the past 2.5 years. So.
That's great. That's great.
I actually I did. We all run the 50K at
Yeah,
Javelina.
we were all there.
We all did
Yeah.
the 50K at Hanover.
I spent a fair amount of time on the trail with Callie out there. We actually went out probably for about a mile or two together in the first few miles. I ended up going a little bit ahead, but one of my favorite moments of that race was the fact that as we were heading down that smooth backstretch in the backside,
the best
and
part.
I was just like, I was pretty well dialed.
And unreachable and unattainable, you get this next step to the next aid station and just repeat that process. And it's funny because, if you just keep focusing on those little goals at a time or those few steps at a time, you're going to end up at that finish line, whatever that finish line is for you. But it's just a matter of setting those little steps along the way. So if you just keep doing that, you're going to get there eventually.
I'm going to go back to training one more time because I think we kind of did something similar around the Hangover race, which you actually made it a multi-day training camp.
Is that
correct?
That was in the middle.
The Hangover Run, which was a Saturday evening, September 21st, a 31-mile run. Talk about how that camp was designed. I remember seeing a funny post you put on Instagram about, I'm going to camp,
I'm going to
running camp.
Yeah.
And, of course, the concept is you sort of live, eat, breathe, and
Immersed.
sleep running for a period of days. How many days was your camp?
Yeah, this one was 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
So Friday, the Saturday of the Hangover Run, and then the Sunday. And what was the total volume over those 3 days?
What was that? So I did 24 miles the first day, then the 31, and then I think 12 or 11 or 12 the last day. So it was 64 miles or something like
And was that,
Yeah.
had you done that before? Has that been part of your build-ups for 200s also?
Yeah, about that same distance. And the same strategy. 3 days, go into a recovery phase leading into a recovery phase. There's my coach right there. Recovery phase right after it. But as overwhelming as that sounds to do that many miles in 3 days, I love going to camp. It's my favorite because I don't have to think about work. I don't have to do any social obligations, nothing else. It's literally just all day running, feet up, eat, recover, do it again the next day. Repeat the same process, do it again the next day. And it's just such a confidence boost.
Yeah, what
when
I
you do
find
it.
with those training camps is not only, the physical benefit, of course, but the mental and psychological benefit.
Big time.
Of just devoting that time. It's almost like giving yourself your own personal running retreat.
Yeah, it is like a running retreat in a type 2 way, but I love it.
Right.
It's like rehearsal, you're doing your dress rehearsal for your big race. So you get to practice everything you need to practice, and that confidence boost definitely comes with it. So
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, Callie, not only are you a runner, you're also somebody who has cultivated a heck of a following in the community and also have helped to develop some things in the community as well. And I want to pivot to that right now before we wrap things up. Tell us about Mug Club.
Oh my God, I love Mug Club. It all started with, something that we all love about trail running, being with your friends in the parking lot and the trailhead parking lot after a good run together and just hanging out, chilling, sharing donuts, sharing coffee, beer, whatever you have with you, and just hanging out. So Mug Club is just this, very beginner-friendly group that meets once a month. It's not every weekend, it's just once a month. We find a new trail every time, something very easy that anyone could do if they've never trail run before. And we'll just do like a 3-4 mile run, and then afterwards Scott and I provide free coffee, free donuts to everyone, and then we always get brands to sponsor, so we always have giveaways for people.
Nice.
And at this last one we had Hoka shoes to give away, Hoka swag, we had Pit Viper sunglasses, we've had you name it, Topo, we've had Ultimate Direction, we've had John G, so Scratch, Goo, everybody.
How many people are showing up at these Mug Club events now?
Oh my God, I think our biggest group was like 72.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It started with maybe 20 people, now where it's like we might need a permit. So
So with that, before we move, obviously you have an incredible interest and passion for, it's a cliche almost, with the community.
Yeah.
Who's going to be out there in your community tomorrow?
Oh, man.
Who's going to be in Callie's corner, crewing, pacing?
So it's going to be my partner crewing. He'll be with me all day. He's also crewing, some of the other athletes. But my friends Kyla, who's part of John G, and my friend Brittany are going to be both pacing me. So girl power, I guess, going
So
into the race.
you've got Scott,
Yep.
crew chief, all around awesome dude,
Yeah.
and then a pacer each for the 4th and 5th loop, girl
yeah.
power.
Yeah, and then Janji's going to be our other tent right next to us, so they're going to be helping, supporting, and all things too. So
Right on.
Awesome. Well, Callie, I was so stoked to find out that not only were you running this race, that you have some pretty big goals on a personal level, and I can't wait to see what you do out there. And frankly, if you're feeling up to it, come join us on Sunday and tell us about how it all went.
yeah, it'll be fun. So what's funny is I don't think I've told anybody yet, but I actually karate chopped the edge of my bed frame yesterday, so I might have a broken toe, but at least it's not my big toe, so I think it's going to be fine.
The race starts and adrenaline will go flowing right to
I
it.
know.
And
I'm
you'll
like-
forget about the pain in your quads.
He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Well, it's not the big toe or the pinky toe, so it's fine." That's good.
Well, Callie, Vinson, thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck this weekend, and we
Thank
can't
you.
to see what you do out there.
Heck yeah, thanks for having me.
Have a great race, Callie.
Thank you.
We are going to be back here momentarily with more interviews here on Mountain Outpost. This is the Javelina Jundred interview show presented by Hoka and The Feed. We'll be back shortly.